On May 26, 2025, a specific post on the official Instagram account of the K-pop group P1Harmony became the focal point for a significant and ongoing discussion within their fandom and among industry observers. The post, promoting their then upcoming 8th EP, Duh, featured a piece of concept artwork. Within hours, the artwork itself, rather than the music preview, became the subject of intense scrutiny and debate. The image, styled as a weathered, photocopied flyer, contained a prominent header that read, "Piece of BS." This phrase, immediately interpreted by a large number of international fans as an abbreviation for a common vulgar expression, sparked confusion and concern. The triggering moment was not a formal statement or leak, but this organic, widespread fan reaction to official promotional material. The situation unfolded rapidly across social media platforms, primarily Twitter, Instagram, and fan forums, as users sought clarification and expressed their unease about the potential implications of the phrase being associated with the group and their fandom, P1E. The initial phase of the incident was characterized by attempts to understand the context. Fans fluent in Korean and familiar with cultural nuances pointed out that the Korean text on the same artwork did not contain the same acronym or its direct translation. The Korean text focused on themes of breaking rules and authenticity, consistent with P1Harmony's established disharmony and harmony series lore. However, the English acronym BS dominated the conversation. Online reactions varied widely. Some fans argued it was a deliberate, edgy choice by the creative team, possibly reclaiming the phrase to mean breaking free from nonsense or hypocrisy, aligning with the group's themes of nonconformity. Others expressed disappointment and concern, feeling that the use of such a phrase, regardless of intent, was a lapse in judgment that could undermine the group's positive message and provide fodder for negative press. A segment of the fan base adopted a wait-and-see approach, suggesting the letters could stand for something else entirely within the group's fictional universe. The agency, FNC Entertainment, did not issue an immediate statement following the initial online eruption. This period of silence, which lasted approximately 36 hours, allowed for further speculation and analysis. During this time, fan detectives scrutinized every aspect of the artwork. Some noted that the design aesthetic of a gritty underground flyer was consistent with the anti-perfect and rebellious concept teasers released earlier for the Duh era. Others zoomed in on finer details, claiming to find tiny, obscured words that might explain the acronym, though these findings were largely disputed and unverified. The discussion also branched into the responsibilities of agencies and their creative departments when targeting a global audience. Observers noted that while wordplay and provocative imagery are common in K-pop concepts, the direct use of a common English vulgar acronym in primary promotional artwork was unusual, leading to questions about the review process for international marketing. Official response arrived on the evening of May 28, 2025, through a statement from FNC Entertainment hosted on the group's fan community platform. The statement acknowledged the concerns raised regarding some of the promotional materials for P1Harmony's upcoming album. It clarified that the acronym BS in the Piece of BS artwork was intended to stand for Broken System, a core concept from the group's long-running storyline. The agency stated that the concept aimed to portray the idea of finding peace and harmony within a broken system, a central theme of the group's narrative since their debut film. The statement expressed regret for any misunderstanding or discomfort caused to fans, emphasizing that there was no intention to cause offense, and thanked fans for their passion and feedback. This official explanation was subsequently reported by various K-pop news outlets. The release of the agency's statement did not fully settle the matter. Instead, it shifted the nature of the debate. A portion of the fandom accepted the explanation, viewing it as a coherent link to the group's established lore of battling systemic chaos. These fans argued that the controversy was born from a cultural and contextual gap, and that the creative intention was artistically valid. However, another significant segment remained unsatisfied. Their criticisms focused on several points. First, they questioned why, if the acronym was meant for broken system, it was not clearly defined within the artwork itself for the international audience, especially on a globally visible platform like Instagram. Second, some fans felt the explanation was retroactive, developed in response to the backlash rather than being the pre-planned meaning. Online, discussions compared this to other instances in K-pop where ambiguous English phrases had caused similar brief controversies, highlighting a recurring pattern in global-facing content. To fully understand the weight of this fan reaction, it is necessary to provide context on P1Harmony's specific relationship with their fandom and their artistic identity. Since their debut in 2020, P1Harmony built a reputation on a foundation of substantive, often introspective music dealing with mental health, societal pressure, and personal courage. Songs like Scared and Back Down were praised for their lyrical honesty. The fandom, P1ECE, developed with a strong sense of shared identity in this message, often describing the group's music as a source of personal strength. Furthermore, the group's concept is deeply rooted in a detailed cinematic universe established in their debut film. Therefore, for many fans, the group's artistry carries an expectation of thoughtful, coherent messaging. The Piece of BS incident, for those critical of it, was seen not merely as a minor promotional misstep, but as a potential dilution of that carefully crafted, meaningful brand. It touched on deeper fears about the commercialization and potential trivialization of the group's core identity as they continued to expand globally. The controversy also spilled into broader media coverage. While mainstream news largely ignored the incident, dedicated K-pop media and commentator channels on YouTube and TikTok produced segments analyzing it. This coverage generally fell into two categories. The first presented a straightforward timeline of the event, quoting the official statement and showcasing examples of the divided fan reaction. The second category offered analytical commentary, discussing the challenges of intercultural communication in K-pop marketing and the power dynamics between agencies, artists, and fandoms. These commentators noted that the incident exemplified how fandoms in the 2020s have become active, scrutinizing participants in an artist's narrative rather than passive consumers of content. The debate even prompted a minor, related discussion about the ownership of artistic interpretation, whether the agency's stated intention was the definitive meaning or if the audience's perception held its own validity. In the weeks that followed, through the full promotion cycle for the Duh EP, the group members themselves did not directly address the artwork controversy in any public forum. Their scheduled appearances on music shows, variety content, and live broadcasts proceeded as normal, focusing on the performance and musical aspects of the comeback. Observers noted that the group's official social media posts became more focused on stage photos, member interactions, and music video highlights, steering clear of further conceptual deep dives related to the contentious artwork. The EP itself, upon its full release, contained no explicit reference to the BS acronym in its lyrics or liner notes, though its songs did explore themes of confidence and defying expectations. As of the subsequent months leading into 2026, the Piece of BS incident remains a cited reference point in discussions about P1Harmony's brand management and fan agency relations. It is not an active legal or scandalous controversy, but a case study in misinterpretation and cultural translation. The situation highlighted the heightened sensitivity and expectations of a globally engaged fandom invested in narrative coherence. It also demonstrated the speed at which a single piece of promotional material can trigger widespread analysis and demand for corporate accountability. For P1Harmony, the incident appears to have had no lasting impact on their commercial performance, as the Duh EP performed on par with previous releases. However, for a segment of the fandom, it introduced a note of caution regarding the group's creative direction and the clarity of their messaging. The long-term effect likely resides in a more critically examining eye from some fans toward future promotional materials, and possibly a more cautious approach from the agency's creative team when designing content for dual domestic and international consumption. The episode stands as a resolved, yet instructive chapter in the group's history, underscoring the complex, interactive, and occasionally fraught relationship between a K-pop group's artistic concept and its global audience's perception.